shattered grace. Wore every scar like battle paint. They tried to erase my name, my face, but I carved it deep in myth and flame. I stood alone in shadowed halls where whispers turned to sharpened knives, but I held fast through every fall and stitched my soul with rebel light. They built their thrones on borrowed gold while I was forged in fire and stone. They called me lost, too fierce, too bold, but I was never theirs to own. I was the silence they couldn't break, the fall line they refused to see. But now I rise with every quake and claim the ground beneath my feet. I'm right where I belong, on the edge of the sky, with fire in my veins and stars in my cry. I built this throne from broken stone, made exile feel like home. I'm right where I belong, unshaken, unbound. The storm was mine to ride, not drown. Let them watch me blaze, let them hear my soul. I'm right where I belong, They drew their lines in velvet dust, told me to shrink, to fade, to kneel. But I was born of iron and trust, of truths too wild for them to feel. They crowned their queens with silent grace while I wore storms upon my skin. They feared the fire in my face, the voice that roared from deep within. I lit my path with rebel light, each step a spark, each breath a flame. I didn't fit, and that's my right. I'm not their echo, I'm my name. Let the winds howl, let the ground shake. I'm the anthem no cage can take. Cracked earth, neon skies, phoenix flight. I stand in power, bathed in love. I'm right where I belong, on the edge of the sky, with fire in my veins and stars in my cry. I built this throne from broken stone, made exile feel like home. I'm right where I belong, unshaken, unbound. The storm was mine to ride, not drown. Let them watch me blaze, let them hear my soul. I'm right where I belong. I'm right where I belong. I'm right where I belong.
Happy Saturday, everybody. Saturday, December 13th, 2025. Hello, Peggy. I seen you in the chat, love. Um, let me know if the background is too loud and not, so I can adjust it accordingly. Anyways, there it is. Sorry, I had people ask where I was last week, and the whole Dirt in December thing, and that I look forward to every year. I grew up around dirt track racing, so it's just natural to gravitate to the next level, which actually I have a video clip to show you exactly what, and these are just highlights from the Gateway Dirt Nationals. So let's take a quick look. Now keep in mind that this is all done. Everybody knows who the, St. Louis Rams are, or were, I should say. That's a very contentious subject for a lot of St. Louisans. You know, they originally was able to swoon and woo the Rams from Los Angeles to St. Louis. They did win one Super Bowl championship while in St. Louis, and then the owner at the time, Stan Kroenke, pretty much pussed out and walked away from St. Louis. It was a lot of lawsuits and stuff. But this is done in the dome where the Rams played in St. Louis.
1 and 2 and fast, but 1 and 2, you got to pick your line very carefully, and that's what the 0-9 did not do. Ledford slides up high. Oh, all the way over off the fence. Holy hot mama. Wow. Dave Hess went for a wicked ride on the back chute. Officials already on the scene. That was one of the scene here at the Dome or anywhere in a long, long time. Give him a big round of applause, Rays fans.
As you can see, the car was literally demolished and shredded when he flipped. They have so many safety features in these cars that if they do come out of a wreck injured, it's usually not, critical. Although sometimes I have seen where it has been. Like I said, I grew up around the sport.
And man, just cannot get it loaded up and up and catches that, and then a little bit
This
more.
class right here that's on the screen, their big money race of the weekend is $70,000 purse to the winner.
Yeah, that one probably is what did him in. In at number 4. As he closes in on him. It could be right here, DJ, and it will be. Slider for the lead. Hudson full send. Bounces off the concrete. Widener back to his inside. They make a little contact down the back straightaway. Who's going to lead lap 13? 13 down, 12 to go. Widener to the lead. Huddy's got a flat right rear tire.
Oh, and Hud, flat right rear tire. The whole tire is ace tracking.
Bunch of idiots, man. Brains, and we're left front to right front going down the back straightaway, and it's just hard right. So Detroit race car probably would have still ran good. I don't know what the deal is, man. It's just we love the Dome and we love coming here, but we hate stuff like that, and it seems to happen every year I come here. So oh well, we'll see if it's fixable, and if it is, we'll be back tomorrow and try and put on a show.
Gateway Dirt Nationals, are you ready?
This year marked the 9th year that the Gateway Dirt Nationals happened. When it first started, they said it wouldn't last, and they're already planning big things for the 10th annual event next year. But you seen how tore up that car was just after bouncing off the wall. Yeah, that's a very narrow 5th mile dirt track. They haul in probably close to 350 semi-trailers full of dirt to build this track. And then it gets tore down within days. The track gets tore down just a matter of a few days after the event ends. I think the city uses it as a convention center now. Monster trucks, motocross, that sort of thing.
Here's your number 3.
We have got the biggest crowd in the history of the Kubota Gateway Dirt Nationals here this weekend.
I love this moment.
You never get tired of the get better and better. That, my friends, number 1 on the list.
Make some noise for Bobby Pierce!
Coming in at number 2.
He won the race in 17 and 18. Off into 3 and 4, $70,000 in his sights. Win 32 on the year for car 32. Bobby Pierce wins the Kubota Gateway Dirt Nationals.
sometimes you have them weekends like that. They just everything goes your way, and there was really no drama that followed me this weekend, which is pretty crazy for a change. So that's awesome.
Okay, it has been held for 9 years. They did not run in 2020 because of COVID, so there's been 8 total events, and he's won 3 of those 8. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And he's a local guy. He's from Illinois. I just don't remember where.
To win this event 3 times, I mean, this thing's just incredible. You hear everyone say that. If you haven't been here to experience it, it is definitely something to experience. It's just cool to have another 32 wins. Just I guess it was meant to.
You can both get anger out.
And now for your Cop Cam's top moment. Green Davenport on the move. Meanwhile, Bronson and Brendan Smith aren't friends anymore.
Both in the show.
Oh, guys, don't do that, Brendan.
Both in the show.
Oh, no.
No, you're not.
Oh, no.
Like, literally, the
Well,
chain link fence pole.
And Kyle Bronson, what happened from your point of view?
Dead.
A f***ing straight purebred. He needs a whoop. His daddy didn't do it enough. Yeah, I knew he was a I was trying to tell him to get out the car there, and he wouldn't get out the car, so after he wouldn't get out the car and take a whooping, the best thing I could do is I really tried to zip my fire chute down and pull my ball sack out and put it on his head.
Just telling you to get out of the car. I'm like, man,
yeah.
I'm second now.
I did not realize that got said. Anyways, that's what I was watching last week, and I enjoyed it. I look forward to it every year. For a lot of guys, a lot of people, it's a local event, and you see how packed that was in that photo. Racing is dangerous, I think. Probably while racing related deaths would be Dale Earnhardt Sr. in the last lap of the what was that, 2002 Daytona 500. The other car involved in that crash, St. Louis, Illinois native Kenny Schrader. Someone that my dad knows personally. Anyways, I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of what I watched. What I was paying attention to last week. And I want to touch on something. Something, and I decided yesterday to change, instead of doing a year in review, to this subject. We're getting ready to hit Christmas break, so that's middle of the school year, and the local high school here has lost not one but 2 students to self-unaliving. I don't know the circumstances for the one that happened Monday. I do know the other one that happened earlier in the school year was something to do with excuse me, that one's girlfriend dumping him. I feel it's a subject that's not talked about enough. I mean, I worked in fire and EMS. I've done calls where someone has unalived themselves. I've went out on searches for somebody is wanting to unalive themselves. It's never a pretty thing. I'm not gonna lie, I've seen some stuff over the years would make the Grim Reaper's skin crawl. But it's an epidemic in this country, especially with our 18 and under youth, our teens, our preteens. The age of social media and the internet has magnified something that's always been there festering. Something that, I myself was a victim of bullying all throughout high school. But not everybody can get through that. Not everybody can deal with that. I just was lucky I had my grandparents to fall back on. Um, Several amazing teachers that supported me and wouldn't allow any bullying if they were even within earshot. Um, Sadly, some of these kids don't have that. And, it's just, it's sad. If you hear whimpering and squeaking in the background, that would be my little dog sitting here staring at me because she thinks it's lap time. No, it's not. You can sit there. Mama will get you when her done. Sorry. Yes, I baby talk to my dog. She is not my dog. She is not my pet. She is my daughter. She's like a little bitty squeaky toy. Anyways, this is just some statistics I pull up that covers a broad range. It's not just teens. 12.5 million people between the ages of 18 and 25 excuse me, experienced a mental, behavioral, or emotional health issue in the past year. This amounts to 1 in 3 young adults. This rate has increased significantly over the past several years, from 22.1% in 2016 to 33.8% now. 18.1% of teens aged 12 to 17 had a major depressive episode in the past year. Overall, 40% of high school students reported persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness during the past year. The percentage of students reporting these feelings varied by group as follows: 53% of female and 28% of male individuals. 65% of the LGBTQIA community. 31% of cisgender and heterosexual individuals. 45% of American Indian or Alaska Native. 42% Hispanic. 41% multiracial. 40% Black. 39% white. 32% Asian. And 26% National Hawaiian or Pacific Islander individuals. Among college students, 36% have been diagnosed with anxiety and 30% have been diagnosed with depression. 66% of the LGBTQIA youth reported experiencing recent symptoms of anxiety, and 53% reported symptoms of depression. Among teens aged 12 to 17 in 2021 to 2023, 19.7% reported symptoms of anxiety and 8.8% reported symptoms of depression during the past 2 weeks. That's in the last 2 weeks. I mean, and a lot of it has to do with social media. Everybody puts just about everything going on in their lives out there for the whole world to see. And of course, their classmates are going to see it. Hey, A-Dub! Sorry, I didn't have my main screen up. Sorry, I missed you there. You know what? I'm probably taking my life in my hands here because I know there's one or two people that would like to get a hold of it, but I don't care. I'm gonna drop a link and I'm gonna pin that sucker up at the top. So, if anybody has anything to say on this subject, I invite you to come up. This is a subject that needs to be talked about more. There's a lot of subjects that need to be talked about more, but they don't get the airtime. It's more about politics and the drama that's constantly happening in DC. Pin that. Nope, wrong button. All right, there we go. We are pinned. Okay, I did not know that was there. I can't get out of that. There we go. Oh, that is Peggy, that's because now we have all these electronic devices, and parents, rather than actually parent their children, are letting the iPad, the tablet, the computer raise their kids instead of them raising their kids themselves. And I will not waver on that opinion. That is my opinion alone, yes. But oh, I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it. Yes, my children had tablets, cheap generic Android tablets when they were young, but they didn't get them unless we were in the car or at a whatever doctor's appointment we would be at. The rest of the time, they didn't get that at home. They had to play with their toys, spend time with me, even at that age, kids don't like doing that, but and that's where it all starts. Starting them out to where that tablet becomes their friend, to where that tablet raises that child. And then when faced with a real world situation like, online or in person bullying, these kids don't know what to do, don't know how to handle the situation. And it usually escalates to an unaliving. Excuse me, I'm dealing with bronchitis here, so yeah, that's fun to deal with too. Better. I've not heard that one, Peggy. I definitely iPads emit microwave frequency, which goes deep into a child's brain because their skull is thinner and not fully developed. That's an interesting aspect. I definitely will read up on that. But like I said, our local school district have lost. The local high school has lost 2 of its own students to self-unaliving, and like I said, the second one happened just on Monday morning. 7:30 in the morning when most kids are reporting to school. And it's like I said, it's an epidemic. It definitely needs to be in mainstream media more than a pompous and arrogant senior citizen who wants to lead a country. Oh, cell phones emit microwave frequency. I've known that for like ever, Peggy. But anyways, let me get back to some more stuff I found. Rates of unaliving attempts, and unaliving thoughts. Unaliving is the second leading cause of death for teen and young adults aged 10 to 34. 12.2% of adults 18 to 25 had serious thoughts of unaliving themselves in the past year. Overall, 20.4% of high school students reported having seriously considered unaliving themselves in the past year. 20%. There's just something so wrong with that. 20% of all high school students. And it varies by group as follows. 27.1% of them were female to 14.1% of male. 41% were members of the LGBTQIA community. 41%. So tell me that this country does not have a problem with people who have same-sex relationships or someone of a different color. Tell me that we don't. Because I think it's glaringly obvious with just that 41%. 24.5% of American Indian or Alaskan Native, 22.1% white, 21.6% multiracial, 19.6% Black or African American, 18.2% Hispanic or Latino, 16.1% Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, and 14.4% Asian individuals. 12.3% of adolescents aged 12 to 17 had serious thoughts of unaliving themselves in the past year. Overall, 9.5% of high school students attempted unaliving in the past year. The percentage of students reporting to have attempted this varies by group. 12.6% of female and 6.4% male. 19.7% of LGBTQIA and 6% heterosexual. I mean, it just goes on and on. LGBTQIA young people living in rural areas are more likely to have considered self-unaliving at 43%. 43%. And that specific statistic is comes from the Trevor Project 2025. Self-unaliving rates are often higher in more rural areas. The rate of self-unaliving among youth aged 15 to 19 living in rural areas is 15.8% per 100,000 people, compared to 9.1% per 100,000 people in urban areas. I mean, this particular quote comes from Johns Hopkins Medicine. Girls are more likely to attempt self-unaliving than boys, but boys are 4 times more likely to pass away from self-unaliving than girls. And then the page goes on to cover substance abuse, not enough young people are getting support for their mental health. And the myth, the legend, lightning viper in the house. Traffic lights emit waves. Cars today emit waves. Ovens, anything with Bluetooth, watches, phones, cameras, and the levels very greatly. Oh, I don't doubt that at all, Viper. I really do not. And welcome to the channel. I'm glad I was finally able to sway you over here. Guys, if you haven't checked out Lightning Viper's channel, he comes up with some amazing music and does it what almost feels like daily to me, the Lightning Viper radio. I love putting that on, letting it play in the background while I'm working on various other stuff around the house. So, welcome in, Viper. It's good to have you here. Anyways, like I said, not enough young people are getting support for their mental health. This one is from the JED Foundation 2024. Teens themselves report that they are aware of the importance of seeking mental health support but still have trouble reaching out. And this is from the JED Foundation in 2020. Schools should do more to support student mental health and self-unaliving prevention. 51% of school administrators feel that schools should make efforts to prevent self-unaliving among students. Similarly, 92% believe that schools should make an effort to identify high school students in need of mental health services. I could not agree more to that. But where it says teens report that have trouble reaching out, because a lot of them, even subconsciously, the first thing they're going to do is try to manage. No one wants to publicly seek mental health help because of the stigma that's attached to it. Rights for any parent through this. No parent should bury their child. The child should grow up and be the one burying the parent. Paragraph. Self-unaliving is the second leading cause of death for adolescents between the ages of 10 and 19 in the U.S., accounting for 2,744 deaths in 2019. The incidence has been steadily rising in the USA, and 5.1% of male and 9.3% of female high school students in the U.S. report a self-unaliving attempt in the past year. Self-unaliving attempts represent less than 5% of injuries treated at trauma centers, in part because of the high lethality of self-inflicted pew-pew injuries and asphyxiation. The two leading mechanisms of self-unaliving death in this age group, as many die prior to receiving medical care. In addition, many adolescents that present with self-inflicted injuries or self-unaliving behaviors are often treated in the emergency department and may not be encountered by the trauma team. However, in a 2-year period, trauma centers participating in the National Trauma Data Bank cared for 3,783 adolescents with a self-unaliving attempt, 13% of which died from their injuries. Those that are admitted often have higher injury severity, healthcare utilization, and mortality compared to other intensive injury, and those that have previously attempted are at risk of future self-unaliving attempts. We often encounter far more than unaliving attempts. Our adolescents with mental illnesses and other risk factors for self-unaliving at the time of and after injury. Given this, it is imperative that trauma centers and healthcare providers understand the it's an epidemic. I'll just say that. Lost my place here. Lost my place. To understand the epidemic, risk factors, warning signs, and strategies to identify adolescents at risk, refer them to evidence-based mental health services and support patients and their families. I couldn't agree more with that. I can remember back when I was a freshman in high school. It was Halloween night, and I was sitting at the house handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, and one of our neighbors come by with their 2 young girls and mentioned to me that so-and-so had passed away that day. And I was just, shook to my core. He always seemed so strong, so confident, you know. I know more of the details than what I will reveal out of respect to the deceased. But that was a big eye-opener to my small town of 2,000 people. A well-liked young man gone in a blink of an eye. I still can remember the moment that the neighbor told me what had happened, and needless to say, I turned off the porch light and didn't hand out any more candy that night. I was inside. My parents were, I think my dad was at work, and I forget where my mom was, and my brother was out with friends. So I turned all the lights off, went to my bed and cried, grieved for the family, grieved for the young man who was no longer walking amongst us. I was 15 when that happened. Yeah, 15. That was 1990. No, it was 89. 89, so I would have just turned 14. Doesn't matter. I can remember the moment I heard the news. I just didn't have the heart for Halloween anymore. Not that night, anyways. Yeah, Peggy, it was. And then, let's think here. The following school year, we lost 2 young ladies to a car accident. Same grade. One of them I was on the high school softball team with. I had grown up playing rec ball every summer with her. And it's always with small towns. 95% of the time, the media won't come, the big TV stations and stuff won't come to a small town unless it's something, like 2 bright young ladies being killed in a single car crash. My hometown has been through its fair share of tragedies over the years. I remember when I was in 8th grade and our PE teacher had gathered us around. And that's the earliest known memory I have of any educator talking to us about self-unaliving. One of his former students, someone I already had passed because he had been my dad's best friend growing up, had self-unalived himself, and I can remember this teacher, this was PE teacher, so instead of having us dress for PE that day, he gave everybody a pass and sat us all down in the bleachers and talked to us. That's the earliest known educator memory I have, talking to us about this subject. And this was in the days way before the internet, social media, and all that. Back then, pen pals were a thing, Saturday morning cartoons were a thing. That era, that way of life, it's gone. Oh, I'm sorry, Peggy. Um, like I said earlier, in my many years in EMS, doing search and rescue for someone who wanted to self-unalive themselves. The stories I could tell, but I won't. That's something from first responder side of things. That's something that stays with you, regardless of if you know the person or not. You'll remember the manner of death, what type of device they used. If they wanted to make it hard for people to find them so that they could do it, or if they stayed in someone's line of sight. There's still all cries for help. My youngest son, he had a classmate whose mom made multiple attempts. And finally she succeeded. That little boy, he's had to grow up without his mom. And there was no doubt in anyone's mind about how much she loved her little boy. She just was not able to receive the help she needed to be there physically, throughout his growing up years. Oh wow, we're at 45 minutes already. It's a subject that needs to be touched on more by more streamers, by more creators. All sectors, all communities, especially on these YouTube streets, need to be talking more about it, because it's, like I said, it's an epidemic. It's a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, and I blame the internet and social media. I really do. I'm gonna start crying here in a minute. So, 45 minutes. I'm gonna call it there. Mainly because I got a squeaking dog that needs to go potty. So, I apologize to anybody if you heard her squeaking and sounding like a squeaky toy in the background. I can assure you that's just her sitting there staring at me, whimpering, because, this is her house. She just lets me live here. But, I give you tonight's, closing music.
They thought the storm would pass. They never knew it was made. I was silenced before the sky broke. lightning spoke. I rose from the eye where the silence collapsed. Ash in my veins and a voice full of cracks. The sky wrote my name in electric despair. Now I walk like a vow through the smoldering air. I wear every scar like a medal of flame. Tame the cyclone and shatter the chain. I don't beg for the calm, I command what it breaks. This crown isn't gifted, it's what fury makes. You built your shelter from thunder and lies, but I rise where your warning dies. No shelter can hold what I've become. The storm doesn't chase me, I am the one. I'm the queen of the storm, rising fierce from the flame. Winds bow down when they whisper my name. Lightning curves at the edge of my will. I don't flee the dark, I bend it still. I reign where the sky comes undone. In the chaos I don't run. I am the roar, the fire reborn. Watch me rise. I'm the queen of the storm. You ran from the flash, I danced in the blaze. Found truth in the fracture, reborn in the haze. I don't chase peace, I summon the sound of thrones made in lightning and kingdoms unbound. I carved out my path in the eye of the night. A sovereign of surge, a priestess of strike. No prayer brought me here, no fate took my hand. I wrote my reign in the ash and the sand. So when the sky turns black, don't cover your eyes. That rumble's not fear, it's how legends rise. I am the hush before heaven breaks, the sovereign spark that the darkness makes. And when the sky fell silent, they looked up and saw her silhouette, lightning still dancing in her